Success as an ACN independent business owner, IBO, is not guaranteed, but rather influenced by an individual's specific efforts. No one can be guaranteed success as an IBO. This presentation was recorded during the Adelaide International event, March 20th to 22nd, 2015. This presentation may contain information regarding the ACN compensation plan, promotions and product pricing, which has changed since the date of the recording. Views expressed and any claims or comparisons made by IBOs presenting are theirs and not ACN's. Please check acnpacific.com.au and IBO back office for up-to-date information.
How's everybody doing? Well, first of all, I'm very excited to be here in Adelaide, Australia, with all of you. The great momentum is here, and I could definitely feel it. And I've been hearing so many great stories of all the new success stories that's being born right now in the Pacific market, in the region. And I want to congratulate all of you for all the great things you guys are doing in this region. Give yourselves a big round of applause for really making a mark with ACN in the Pacific region. You know, I know a lot of you, maybe I'm meeting for the very first time. Tomorrow at the main event, I know today is a leadership day, and tomorrow officially this event begins. Tomorrow I'm going to be sharing a lot of the stories of how I got started in ACN and really my journey of how a young person like me that just used to be a college student working at a coffee shop, Starbucks, making just a few dollars an hour as a barista, have found ACN opportunity and how ACN has completely transformed my life last 11 years. We're going to be talking a lot about that tomorrow, but today I want to share some leadership thoughts and leadership training that's been taught to me for the last over 11 years that has helped me to grow, to become who I needed to become to be successful in ACN. But since a lot of you, since I'm meeting for the first time, you know, let me just kind of make this clear, just so we could have a great training session for the next few minutes. Is that okay? My mentor taught me when I first got started, I remember going to events like this, and sometimes there's training events of 100 people or maybe 1,000 people or you know how many ever people. And here's a secret that my mentor taught me over 10 years ago that changed my life. He said, Danny, anytime you go to a training event, he said, it doesn't matter how many people are there, treat it as if you're having a one-on-one conversation with the trainer. He said, if you could learn to do that, he said, you could use every opportunity to go out there and change your life and make it better, and you could always learn something. He said, but it's amazing, some people go to trainings and they go to events and they don't get anything out of the event. You know, it's amazing, last 11 years, I met a lot of people, and some people come to an event like this and they walk out of a training like this and they go, man, that event changed my life. The things that I've learned, it changed my life. And you really see the results of their life change. But some people walk out of an event like this and they say, man, they talked about the same stuff and they're yawning and they just walk out without letting the information change their life. And today, since we're going to be spending some time here anyways, and this weekend, since we're going to be here together anyways, I want to encourage all of you to not just physically be here, but mentally be here. And really let this weekend change your life. Let me ask you a question. How many of you want year 2015 to be the best year yet of your life by show of hands? How many of you want this year to be a better year than year 2014 by show of hands? A lot of people said, is it important to get rich or get wealthy? Well, you know, I tell people it depends on people, but here's one thing I know for a fact that every single one of us would agree. What if you could just go out there, not get rich or wealthy, but what if you could use ACN as a tool, as a vehicle, to go out there and get rid of stresses that may happen in your life that was caused by lack of finances or lack of free time? How many of you know somebody that had at least one stress happen? They dealt with at least one stressful situation that was caused by lack of finances or time within the last 30 days of time. How many of you guys know somebody like that by show of hands? How many of you are thinking that's like you? You don't have to raise your hand. So not getting wealthy or rich, but what if we could just get rid of the stresses in our lives that was caused by lack of finances or time? Would it be worth paying attention this weekend to see what you could learn, to see what you could get out of the event, so you could go out there and have the opportunity to improve your life? Would it be worth your time and effort? Yes or no? Yes. So, I want to encourage all of you to really have a one-on-one conversation with me and have fun and really pay attention and participate throughout the event so you could really maximize from this event. I tell you, when I first got introduced to the opportunity, I got excited. I remember seeing the presentation, getting excited about the possibility and the dream, like Mr. Brian Sachs talked about earlier. And I remember the person that presented the opportunity to me told me, hey, Danny, when you go home, make sure you don't talk to anybody about this, because if you talk to people about it, because you don't know much about it, they may be negative. And I remember them telling me not to say anything until I go through a proper training. I got home. Back then, I was still living with my parents, and I remember my dad asking me, where have you been? And I remember me saying to my dad, they told me not to tell you. Probably not a very smart thing to tell your dad. He said, Danny, you better tell me where you've been. I said, they told me not to tell you. I can't talk about it. He said, I'm your dad. I deserve to know. You better tell me now. I keep telling him no. He said, Danny, if you don't tell me, you're not going to be able to eat dinner. Of course, I told him because I wanted to eat. I remember sitting down and drawing out circles and telling him, and back then, this is after being in America for, just 5-6 years. I still didn't speak English great yet. My family was struggling financially. My dad and my mom, they were in dry cleaning business, and we just weren't doing that well financially. And I was telling them, hey, you don't have to work at dry cleaners anymore. I'm going to retire you. We're going to get wealthy. We're going to be driving around in Mercedes. We're going to live American dream. And I told them all those things, and my excitement. Of course, you could imagine what he told me. He told me, hey, Danny, if you ever do anything like that, we're going to kick you out of the family. So my excitement when I first got started, when I first saw the presentation, I was excited, but I went home and I talked to my dad. Guess what happened? My excitement went down, and he shut me down. He told me not to do this. And even after that, for many, many months, my parents were against me getting involved in an opportunity like this. And I remember many nights literally going into my room and putting literally putting pillow on my face and just crying because my parents were so against it. But I tell you now, he didn't have to kick me out. I moved out. And today, anybody goes over to my dad's house, the very first thing he does is pulls out ACN DVD, a magazine, and tells everybody that I always knew my boy was going to make it. That's what he always tells everybody, but he don't even remember being negative. But anyways, and I remember I'll go to another training like this, after being, maybe shut down or going through some negativism from people that I care about. And I come to training like this and I get excited again. And here's the reality. In life, we go through ups and downs, and we go through a roller coaster of good moments and challenging or bad moments, if you want to call it. Is it true or not? It doesn't matter what we do. If you're working at a job or if you're running your own traditional business or whatnot, we all go through ups and downs. And I could tell you right now, even in ACN, I went through a lot of ups and downs. I had times where my team was growing fast, and I had times where my team wasn't as growing fast. And how many of you guys know that there are quitters in the world? How many of you know that by show of hands? It doesn't matter what they do, they quit. Sometimes it doesn't even make sense. It makes zero logical sense, but people quit. It's amazing that some people could sign up for, you guys call gym membership, you guys call them gym or health club or whatever, it's amazing that some people could sign up for a gym membership and pay a certain amount of money every single month and never show up. How many of you guys think that's amazing? So we live in a world where amazing things happen. We live in a world, you see a beautiful couple, you obviously could tell they love each other, they're great people, but they separate. We see people quit things in life, or we see people stop doing things, and sometimes it makes no logical sense. Sure or not? In ACN, the same thing happens. In my 11-year career with ACN, I had times where my team grew extremely fast. I had times where my team was not doing well. Sometimes people were quitting more than people were joining. And back in the days, I used to think that was only happening to me, but the reality is every single successful person in the world that's been successful in anything, they all go through ups and downs in their career, doesn't matter what they do. So today, here's what I want to encourage all of you to do. Maybe some of you are just getting started in ACN and you've only been with us for a few days or a few weeks or a few months of time. Maybe some of you are like me and you've been with ACN for a few years of time. Every single person, either you already have or you will go through your ups and downs of roller coaster in your career. And I know when you see other people succeed, because sometimes we see other people succeed, and we say to ourselves, man, that person is lucky, or that person maybe didn't go through they have no idea what I'm going through. And that's how we feel. I hear people say it all the time. They see other people's success, other senior vice presidents and regional vice presidents' success, and here's what they say. Man, their success is like overnight success. How did they have so much success so fast? See, when you look at other people's success, it always seems like overnight success story because you didn't know about them the whole time until they made it. But the reality is before they made it, they went through a lot of ups and downs. I'll tell you right now, one of the top producing senior vice presidents in ACN right now is a gentleman named Jamal who lives out in UK. This gentleman for over 5.5 years, nobody knew who he was. 5.5 years, nobody knew who he was. But now almost every leader in ACN worldwide in 24 countries all know who Mr. Jamal is. And a year and a half ago, he just got it. Here's a gentleman who never missed a convention one time in 6 years. Nobody knew who he was. And all of a sudden, late 2013, he kicked in momentum like never before. His team started to grow. He started experiencing some powerful momentum. And in a short year and a half of time, now he became literally the largest and the fastest growing organization in ACN. He got promoted to senior vice president in November of 2014, just a few months ago. And right after he got promoted, within 90 days, he promoted 4 more senior vice presidents in his team. In UK. Is that incredible? Now to us, that a lot of you that maybe don't know Jamal personally, we're going, man, that's overnight success. We didn't even know who that guy was. And in a year and a half time, now he's a senior vice president. He's got 4 or 5 senior vice presidents in his team. His team's exploding. See, so other people's success story seems like overnight success, and they didn't go through or they're not going through what you have experienced. But the reality is this. Every person goes through the same stuff. Every person goes through ups and downs. Only difference is that yours, you know everything about it, and other people's stories, you don't know anything about it. You only hear about them when they make it. And you don't hear their down times, and you don't hear their challenging moments in their career. That's why their success seems way easier than yours. So be encouraged today and this weekend, and realize that everything you will go through and everything you go through now or you've been through, every other successful person in the company, every senior vice president has either gone through it or they, matter of fact, they've all gone through it, maybe in different shape or form, but there isn't a single person that didn't go through ups and downs on their way to winning in ACN. So what do you have to do when you face challenging times in your career? Doesn't matter what you do. Here's what you have to do. Here, you have to learn to think big when you're at your lowest moments. I love what Mr. Greg Provenzano, who's actually one of our co-founders and president of ACN, I love what he says. He said, in ACN, even in ACN, in the early days, 22-year history now, we had some times where we weren't even sure, as a company, 20 years ago, we weren't even sure if we were going to make it another month or another year. But he said what's amazing is every disappointing moment we realize now looking back was God's appointed time for us to grow. See, if you understand that when you're at your lowest moments, if you could learn to think bigger, you could bounce back higher than the time before. See, it's like bouncing ball. If you throw a ball, doesn't matter how high you throw, If he wanted to go higher, only way he could do it is if he has the opportunity to bounce again. And here's a reality. Harder you bounce, higher you go up. True or not true? How many of you have some bouncing down times in your life with ACN or even without ACN in your life so far, by show of hands? Unexpected challenges and obstacles showing up in your life. We've all experienced it. But the difference between successful people and average people is when successful people or people that plan to be successful, when they face challenging time, instead of giving up, instead of getting discouraged, instead of getting distracted, they use it as an opportunity to bounce back and go higher than ever before. Think about it. Mr. Donald Trump is a gentleman who obviously is an endorser for ACN, but a lot of you heard of his story. He was a billionaire. But when the real estate market crashed, when the recession happened in the United States a long time ago, he lost everything. He talked about it at one of the ACN conventions. He was a billionaire and he lost it all, and he was almost $1 billion in debt. He talks about this story, how him and his ex-wife, they were walking down into New York City, and he pointed at a homeless gentleman that was sitting down on the floor, and he told his ex-wife, he said, do you know that homeless person right there is worth almost $1 billion more than me? And he said his ex-wife, she said, really, he's that rich? No, I assume he has nothing. Then he's worth almost $1 billion more than me. See, that was only 30 years ago, but he bounced back. He said, I went back to the basics. I worked harder than ever. He bounced back, and now he's a multi-billionaire, wealthier than he ever was. What did he do? See, he was even thinking bigger. I believe that he was thinking bigger when he was in $1 billion in debt, even more than when he was a billionaire. So because of that, he bounced back bigger than ever. How many of you want your life story to be that way? How many of you could agree with me that best is yet to come, and you haven't had your best days yet? You haven't had your best income yet in your life. I'm telling you, some of you here right now, if you could make up your mind this weekend to think bigger than you've ever have, it doesn't matter what your current circumstances are. You can make this year better than last year. You can make next 5 years way better than it was your last 5 years. And I'm telling you, next 10 years of time, your reality could be better than your dreams in your mind right now. How many of you could get excited about your reality becoming better and getting better than your dreams? How many of you guys could get excited about that? How many of you got some crazy dreams? Imagine a life better than that. Is that possible through ACN? Absolutely. It's happened to me. It's happened to many other leaders all over the world in ACN. And I know for a fact, if it could happen for me, it could happen for you. 14 years ago, when I first got introduced to the industry, I didn't speak English. I was a college student. I was working at Starbucks making $8.50 an hour as a barista. I had $320 to my name. When I first saw the opportunity, when I first joined, I didn't even have money to sign up. I had to borrow money. I remember first time in my life I had to borrow money. I sold the most valuable thing I owned at the time in my life, PlayStation 2. And I remember calling my friends and people I knew and trying to borrow money. And I asked them, do you have $100? They said, no. Do you have 50? They said, no. Do you have 20? They said, yes, I'm on my way to pick it up. I'm in a bad financial situation. I'll borrow for a couple months and, I'll pay back. I remember, I had to do whatever it took, and that's how I got started. And that's where I was 14 years. So I know for a fact, a kid like me that didn't even speak English 14 years ago, that had $320 to my name 14 years ago, that knew nothing about business, that knew nothing about marketing, that knew nothing about leadership, could come into an environment like this in ACN. And by simply doing what the trainings of ACN and the great leaders of ACN and the co-founders have taught us to do, and completely transform my life, where my reality today truly is better than my dreams 14 years ago. I know if it could happen for me, it can happen for every single one of you here. If you put your flag down in ACN, and if you make up your mind that you will become a champion in ACN and be here 2, 5, 10 years down the road. But for you to do that, you have to always learn to think bigger when you're facing those times, and also remember to have long-term vision and have short-term memory. Here's a reality. A lot of people in our lives have short-term vision and they have long-term memory. A lot of people can't get over things. Is it true or not true that sometimes in life people treat you wrong? Yes or no? Think about it. When my parents were in dry cleaning business, a lot of unfair things happened. I remember one time a customer brought a shirt. It looked like it was 500 years old. It was nasty, it was dirty, and it was not in good shape, and they left it for dry cleaning, and they came to pick it up a few days later, and you know what they said? They said, man, you ruined our shirt. They said that was the most valuable shirt I have. It was from whatever. They had a long story, and they wanted us to pay that, reimburse and pay for damage, and they wanted $500 for this shirt that looked like they picked it up somewhere out of a trash can. It looked like it was worth like $5. Is that something like that happening to you? Is that fair? Yes or no? It's not fair. But guess what? We were in a position where none of us spoke English. We were kind of scared, and we ended up, forking out our cash and reimbursing that person $500 for that shirt. Now, is that fair? Yes or no? No, it's not fair. But just because something unfair happened, should we have given up being in the dry cleaning business at the time? Of course not. Of course, unfair things happen in life. True or not true? But what if every day my dad went to work? What if he was only thinking about that problem? What if he had a long-term memory of something like that happening? Could you have operated in a positive state of mind? Yes or no? No, of course not. You got to have long-term vision. The reality is some people are going to join and some people are going to quit. The reality is some people are going to do well and some people won't. Why? Because people are different. Why? Because people have different preferences. I love sushi. How many of you guys like sushi? How many of you guys don't like sushi, by show of hands? To me, you're weird. How do you not like sushi? You're weird. But we're different. It's not about being right or wrong. No, people are different. And accept the fact that we're just sorting to see who are the type of people like you and I are, who have dream, who have ambition, who want to grow and who want to improve their lives. And all we're doing is look for those people that are like-minded like us, so we could build a team and we could go out there and build a successful ACN organization. So have long-term vision and have short-term memory. Don't worry about the people that didn't do what they were supposed to do. Don't worry about the people that maybe have given up. And let me tell you something. If you put your flag down and if you're here 2, 5, 10 years down the road, if you stay in the game long enough, even the people that quit, they always come back. I had situations many times. People that quit 7, 8 years ago, they come back 3, 4 years later after trying a bunch of other things in their lives and saying, man, this is the best thing there is out there. I'll tell you a good story right now. There's a senior vice president, a Circle of Champions member named Michael An out in United States, who started ACN out in Texas, and he's done a great job. He's a senior vice president, Circle of Champions member. But let me tell you something. He was in ACN 2005, and he quit here 2008. And he went out there and got a bunch of other business ventures, and he realized that there's nothing like ACN. So he rejoined in year 2010, and now he's a senior vice president of Circle of Champions. How many of you guys don't mind people just coming back later on and producing even bigger than the first time around? See, if you stay in the game long enough and have long-term vision and have short-term memory and forget about bad experiences, because here's the reality. A lot of people tell me, they say, man, I had a bad day. Bad day don't exist. He said, what do you mean? Bad moments exist, but bad days don't exist. You actually create your own bad day. I'll give you a perfect example. Somebody has a flat tire on the way to the office. That's a bad moment. They walk into the office. Somebody asks them, how you doing? He said, I'm having a bad day. Why? I had a flat tire on the way to work. Another person says, how you doing? Man, I'm having a horrible day. I had a flat tire on the way to work. Look at my shirt. I got grease all over it. An hour later, they're on the phone with the client or whatever, and they're asking, how you doing? Man, I'm having a horrible day. Why? Because I had a flat tire on the way to work. So here's somebody that had only one flat tire happen at 8 a.m. in the morning, but all day long, every person he or she talks to, he or she is telling them about that bad moment. And guess what? He or she created a bad day for himself or herself. True or not true? See, bad moments exist and bad moments happen to you, but bad day you only created for yourself. So have short-term memory. If something bad happens, don't worry about it. I had a person the other day in Las Vegas a few months ago. I live in Vegas, and this person came up to me at a restaurant. And he's like, do you remember me? I said, how? He said, I was in ACN with you 7 years ago. He said, do you remember me? My question was, are you doing it now? He said, no. I said, then I don't remember you. I would love to remember you. Please let me remember you. We have a presentation tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Come with me. How would you? I know people in ACN, they remember everybody that quit. They remember the names of people that quit, but they don't even remember the person that signed up yesterday. I looked at some of your faces, you look guilty. I wasn't talking about you. I'm talking about people in Korea, they do that. Here's the reality. Have long-term vision, have short-term memory. Of course those things are going to happen. But if you have long-term vision, it doesn't matter, folks. And as you start to build your ACN opportunity, always remember to expect the unexpected. So many people get off. Yeah, everybody starts great. Everybody said, I'm going to become a senior vice president. I'm going to become successful in ACN. And they start running towards it, and they have unexpected things happen, and they get off course. They have unexpected things happen, and they give up, and they slow down, and they let it distract them from a journey of success. When the reality is you should expect the unexpected. Think about it, folks. How many of you ever had an unexpected thing happen in your life? By show of hands. Of course, guess what? It happened already, and it's going to happen more the rest of your life. Unexpected things happens to everybody, so you got to expect it. It's people that you count on the most, they may betray you. It just happens in life. True or not true? In ACN or without ACN, it happens. See, I remember what Senior Vice President Patrick Major in America said. He said, ACN isn't hard, it's life that's hard. And it doesn't matter if you do ACN or not, life will happen here just like it happens somewhere else. In life, you have unexpected things happen to you all the time. And if you could expect it, guess what? It's not going to distract you, folks. Is it worth it for you to stay focused for a few years to go out there and make your reality better than your dreams right now? Yes or no? Of course it is. ACN's been operating in Korea for 4 years of time. Tomorrow at the main event, I'm going to show you some pictures of the success stories that's been created in Korea and some pictures of the event of how ACN Korea went from a 300 people event to a 12,000 people event in 4 years of time. We're going to be talking about some of the secrets of what we've done over there to make that growth happen. We have senior vice presidents and we have many regional vice presidents right now in short 3-4 years of time living their dreams. Going out there making more money in a month than they used to make in years of time. That's happening already in Korea right now. It's happening all over the United States. It's happening all throughout Europe. And I'm telling you, it's going to happen in the Pacific region through all of you. Some of you here right now sitting as a qualified team trainer, executive team leader. Some of you may be here right now. You only been in ACN for a few weeks or a few months of time. You will be one of those leaders on this stage 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 18 months from now. If you guys believe that with me, give yourselves a big round of applause. There are going to be RVPs born this year. There are going to be senior vice presidents born in the next 24 months of time. And you could be one of those leaders. You could be the one that override many of those leaders. There are going to be so many success stories being created, that's going to be created in the Pacific region. It's not even going to be funny. Just like we're talking about Korea's success story in Australia now. Just like we're talking about the UK and American success stories right now in Australia. People in UK, people in Germany, people in Korea, people in the United States and Canada will be talking about your success stories in the next 12 to 24 months from now. How many of you believe that Pacific could be one of the best markets for ACN opportunity globally? How many of you guys believe that with me? I'm telling you, folks, this is the time. This is the time, and I believe that ACN Pacific right now has better quality leaders coming up the ranks right now, more than we've ever had in years of us operating in Pacific. Right now is the perfect time for you to get involved and get serious and take all the trainings you're learning this weekend. Let this weekend be the new beginning of your new life in ACN, folks. But start with the right mindset. Start with the right mindset to have that long-term vision. Always think bigger than you did the yesterday and the day before. And if you ever face challenges, don't let those blocks be a stumbling block. Let it be a stepping stone for you to go to the next level. And go out there and build ACN with the bulletproof mindset where nobody could distract you no longer. See, I made a decision over 10 years ago. I was going to win in ACN. When my parents were against it. Matter of fact, when I first got started in the industry, folks, it took me 9 months to get my first paycheck. You wouldn't call that an overnight success story. Would you agree with that? But was able to make millions of dollars because of ACN in my 20s. Now I'm kind of getting up there now, and I'm in my 30s. Early 30s. But you know, I'll tell you right now, what if I gave up my first 8 months because I didn't have any results? What if I gave up after 6 months because I didn't make a dime? What if I gave up after 9 months? What if I gave up because I only made $300 my first year as an entrepreneur? What if I gave up back then? See, you have to have long-term vision. I have people tell me sometimes, they say, well, Danny, I'm going to give this a shot for 6 months. Are you kidding me? If you wanted to become a professional basketball player, how silly would you sound if you said, man, I'm going to give this a try for 6 months of time? You got zero chance of becoming a professional basketball player in 6 months of time. If somebody said, I want to become a professional musician and a pianist or violinist, and I'm going to give my best for 3 months of time, are you kidding me? There's no chance of you becoming a professional and a mastering anything in 90 days of time. What if it took you 2 years? What if it took you 5 years to go out there and live your dreams? Would it be worth it, yes or no? What if it took you 3 years to go out there and become a regional vice president? What if it took you 10 years? Would it be worth it, yes or no? What if it took you 6 years to find your momentum like Mr. Jamal out in UK right now? 6 years. And now he has 4 or 5 senior vice presidents in his team. Would it be worth it, yes or no? Have long-term vision and have a bulletproof mindset. And don't let anybody talk to you out of it. Don't let anybody slow you down. Don't let anybody distract you. And here's another philosophy I live by. When I plan things, and I want to encourage you to do the same. When I plan things, I overplan. And I overwork it. So if everything that could possibly go wrong goes wrong, I still win. See, I don't know about you. I like to win. I don't like to lose. I like to succeed. I don't like to fail. So because of that, I always overplan. If I want to have 10 people in my presentation, I'll invite 20 or 30. If I want to have certain amount of customers, if I want to have 10 customers, I wouldn't talk to 10. I'll talk to 20, 30, 40. Overplan and overwork. So if things go well, I have more than enough. If things don't go well, I at least have more than enough for me to succeed and hit my goals. Does that make sense to you? I'm telling you, it's way easier to overplan and overwork than always barely plan and barely work and get disappointed every time with results. And here's another thing my mentor taught me. If you take good enough care of the things that you have control over, things that you don't have control over don't impact your life that much. Give you an example. I can control if it's going to rain or not. But I could control if I'm going to get rained on or not. I could decide if I'm going to stay indoor, or if I could decide if I'm going to bring an umbrella or not. Same thing in ACN. You can't control who shows up. You can't control who's going to do well or who's not going to do well. You can't control if they say yes or no. But you could control how many you talk to. You could control how many meetings you go to. You could control how many people you talk about the opportunity with or the product with. You could control a lot of things. And if you take good enough care of the things you could control, folks, things that you can't control won't distract you or hurt you that much. And if you could understand that as you build ACN and have that strong mindset, every single one of you here could go out there and build your life to be better than your dreams right now. And here's another thing that I want to share with you. My mentor always taught me, Danny, always work on yourself and grow, because it's finished never is. That's Mr. Greg Provenzano, our co-founder and president. He said, finished never is. You look at ACN as a company, they've been growing consistently almost every single year. ACN, we have a theme this year called a billion and beyond. We have 1 billion reasons to do great things this year. And ACN revenue, in just last 2-3 years alone, as a global ACN, we have grown more in the last 2-3 years than we've done prior 10 years combined. There's so many great things happening in ACN right now. Why? Because our co-founders are always working on improving ACN. Aren't we very blessed and lucky to have owners, co-founders that truly care about making our opportunity better every single day? Every time I'm around them, they're always thinking about how can we make the experiences for customers better? How can we improve our products? How can we make our opportunity even greater to give more people opportunity to win financially through ACN opportunity? ACN is growing all the time. So the question is, how about you? Are you growing all the time? Are you working on yourself all the time to grow you? Because if you grow, your business will grow. Last thing I want to briefly talk about is this. My mentor sat me down when I first got started and he said, Danny, what's your dream car? I told him what my dream car was at the time, Mercedes, S-Class Mercedes. He told me to make a list of the people I knew so we could start building a team. I made a list of 7 people. He said, Danny, I thought you told me that your dream car was Mercedes S-Class. I said, yes, sir. He said, looking at your list, your dream vehicle seems like a bicycle. He said, Danny, either you shrink your dream to match your work ethic or you increase your work ethic to match your dreams. He said, if you want an S-Class, you better make your list at least over 100 people. I said, yes, sir. Start making a big list. And here's the principles that he taught me that I want to share with all of you. He said, Danny, you got to learn to think big and dream big. He said, you got to change your dream. He said, so many people are living in what's called limited thinking state, and they're dreaming so small. When I have conversation with people, a lot of people are dreaming big because they are, when you ask them, what's your dream, what's your goal, they're only thinking about their past, and they're only thinking about their resources now. And because I was poor for 20 years, I think I should, me thinking that I could be here, it seems impossible, and people don't even think that big. And here's what my mentor taught me. He said, Danny, you don't have to be out of a bad situation you're in right now for you to see the victory. Your mind just needs to be out of it. He said, if your mind could come out of the bad situation you're in, guess what? Your life will follow. He said, it's like our body. Wherever your head goes, your body follows. You guys notice that? It's almost impossible for your head to go this way and your body to go the other way. It's impossible. He said everything starts with your thinking. So if you're struggling financially, if you're not living your dreams, and if you're barely making it, and if your mind is stuck in that, your life will continue to be there. How many of you know people, they always talk about the past? They only talk about the past. I hate the conversations when you get around people and they say, do you remember good old days? I'm like, no, I want to know my good old future. You know? I don't care how good my past was. I want my future to be better. How many of you guys want your future to be better than your past? And if that's so, you got to change your dream. Why? Because here's a reality. Only thing that will change it, here's a reality. Training won't change you. No. You having bigger dream that doesn't even match who you are now is what's going to change you. I'll give you an example. Who I was 11 years ago would have never made it in ACN. I'm just being honest with you. 11 years ago, who I was 11 years ago would have never made it. Let me tell you who I was 11 years ago. I didn't speak English. I had no network, no leadership skills. I was negative. You guys ever met negative people before by show of hands? How many of you guys live with one by show of hands? How many of you wanted to raise your hand, but that person's sitting right next to you right now and you couldn't raise your hand? So I didn't speak the language. I was a small thinker. I was shy. I was negative. Anything you talked about, I found out. I wanted to ask you why it wouldn't work. I just was always negative, and that's who I was. I was lazy, and that's who I was 11 years ago. And here's a reality. That person would have never made it in ACN. But I learned through trainings like this, I learned to have a dream.
I learned to dream big. I wanted to retire my parents from working at dry cleaners. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was sick and tired of being behind on our bills. I was sick and tired of my mom and dad, who love each other, always stress and argue with each other at the end of the month because we're short on finances. I was sick and tired of seeing that lifestyle and repeat month after month. So I made a decision, hey, you know what? I want to be financially independent. I wanted to go out there and retire my parents. I wanted to buy them a nice home. I wanted to get them a safe house. I wanted to start taking family vacations, and I started dreaming big. And you know what happened? When my dream got big enough, it started to change me. And I started to change to match my dream. I realized if I want to go out there and live their dream, I need to start being positive. I gave up on my negative thinking. I started thinking positive. If I wanted to live that dream, I realized that I had to start being confident instead of being timid and shy all the time. If I wanted to live that dream, I realized that I have to change and stop being lazy and go out there and start taking action in my life. And I changed my dream that ended up changing my vision of me and vision of my future, and that's how it changed me. Every single one of you here could achieve whatever you want to achieve in your life. If you could just take the limitations off and dream big, and instead of shrinking your future to match who you are and who you have been, dream big enough and start growing you and change you to match your dream. Every single one of you can make that happen for you. So change your dream this weekend. I'm here to tell you, if it could happen for me, it could happen for you. If I could do it, you could do it. If I could speak English, because man, I'm telling you, if I could do it, you could do it. If a Korean born, no English, my nickname was the Hello Man 14 years ago, because if you came up to me and said, how are you? I said, hello. So what's your name? I said, hello. If a hello man from Korea that didn't even speak the language, with no confidence, negative, young kid, 20 years old at the time, could make it in ACN. Every single one of you here could make it in ACN. But as you continue the journey to win in ACN, here's the last thing I want to share with you. You got to make sure to remember to never buy into the dream stealers of your life. Here's 3 types of dream stealers you'll run into. Number 1, is in a form of people. But there are 2 categories of people. Yourself and other people you very, very care about. You got to stay away from dream stealer people. A lot of people talk to themselves out of fulfilling their dreams. Don't let that happen to you. People that you care and they love you. How many of you have people that love you that just want to steal your dreams all the time? Don't let that happen. My dad, here's the reality. My dad loves me. He always loved me. But he was sincere, but he just didn't know. He's not an entrepreneur. He was sincere, but he was sincerely wrong. How many of you think he's glad that I didn't pay attention to him back then? And here's the reality. If you have people that love you and care about you and they're negative and they want to steal your dreams, they won't even remember being negative when you become successful and when you become a millionaire. So if they're not even going to remember what they're saying, why would you pay attention to what they're saying? So don't worry about people that wants to steal your dreams. Don't buy into it. Second form of dream stealer comes in situations. A lot of the situations I talked about earlier, a lot of the down times and challenging times and unexpected things happening. Don't let those situations steal your dreams. Let those situations turn into opportunities for you to think bigger and be stronger. I have 3 kids, and guess what? In the last few years, they're 7, 5, 3, and they get sick a few times. They get sick once in a while. But here's what I know. Every time they go through sickness, for some reason, they get healthier and stronger. Our way of life is the same. When you go through some tough times, when you go through some pain, it only makes you stronger. So get stronger through those situations. Last form of a dream stealer, you know how they come? It's called time. You set deadlines for yourself. You say, this year I'm going to make it happen. 90 days I'm going to make it happen. 12 months I'm going to make it happen. And sometimes you won't. Don't let time steal your dreams. Let your dream never have an expiration date. Never let your dream expire. Continue to build ACN. Tomorrow and Sunday is going to be absolutely amazing. Tomorrow we have unbelievable trainings and unbelievable announcements. And a lot of great things are going to be happening tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow. Thank you very much. God bless, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much.